Thank you for coming out. First, I definitely want to thank God for allowing me to be here at this moment with everybody in this room. I also want to shout out to my family and my friends that came out and support me. Big Joe, thank you. Black, my brother. My children, Mari, Layla, Kaiser, I love you. Kiera, Brittany, thank you to one of my business partners, Coach Donese. Also, Azuku, my videographer and photographer. Thank y'all so much for coming out and support me. Jamal, there's so many people on here that came. Charlie, Vito, thank y'all so much, man. I just want to start off by saying, for a moment, just imagine a world without superheroes. Just put that in your mind. And I'm talking about doctors, firefighters, mentors, change makers. Just think about it. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a superhero. I used to read all the magazines, watch all the movies, Marvel, DC Comics. I also wanted to be an FBI agent. Criminal Minds was my show. But my childhood wasn't so heroic. Instead, my chances of being a hero was a zero. My childhood was filled with trauma, violence, bullying. My environment was filled with disparities. Eventually, when I was 14, my mom passed from underlying health issues. And that was a huge trigger for me. It was completely game over. I really, at that moment, devoted my life of being what you would say an underserved villain, breaking numerous different laws, smoking, skipping school, fighting, you name it. I was out here doing it. And yes, I'm from the Great Ward 8. This is my community. I'm from this community. I recall when my father used to say to me, "You don't listen to me, the street's gonna be your father." And I found out. When I was 16 years old, I was Title 16. That means charged as adult, sent over DC jail, facing a maximum 45 years. But I found something. I found that I really loved working out. You know, I didn't really have nothing to do, so I was going to school and stuff like that, but I always used to fall in love with working out. And I remember one day, a correctional officer said, "Houston, your chest getting big." And just imagine telling a 16-year-old that went to my head. Behind the concrete still, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, I eventually turned 18, and I was sent to the federal prison, where I served the remainder of my time. While out in prison, I got connected with a great old head of mine by the name of Mousy. He took me under the wing. He saw that I was still like a knucklehead. I still was smoking. I still was very territorial and violent while I was incarcerated. Because I'm a true believer, the corrections don't actually correct you. It's meeting great people that corrected me while I was incarcerated. He exposed me to books like New Jim Crow, Michelle Alexander, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Me learning about these different leaders and advocacy, I realized that what I've been through ain't nothing, and that I can be credible and I am able. So this is when the transformation for me really came in. Not just that my body changed, but my mindset changed. When I returned to society, to be honest, I was scared. I was 16 when I came in, and I came home 21 years old, a grown man. Even though I still was a young man, but I was a grown man, so I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I did not want to be a slave again. I went through the halfway process. I did everything, program, got my Social Security, my birth certificate, all of the above, you and name it. And I got my first ever job working at a tour company, Big Bus Tours. Shout out to Big Bus for giving me my first job. Big Bus showed me that the world is bigger than just Washington, D.C. I met so many beautiful people from around the world, Australia, China, and I was like, wow, I need to really expound. When I get off papers, I really need to expound and get my passport, and that's what happened. Through times working at Big Bucks, I ended up having a beautiful daughter. It wasn't planned, it just happened. but it was one of the most blessed. I was super grateful for that. Working job after job, continue to build my resume. I ended up getting my first job working with PG County government. This job was super powerful because I was transporting people that was on treatment, on dialysis and chemo, taking them to treatment, back and forth, from home to treatment. And I built so many great relationships with these people. As I used to come to work, I used to sometimes get notified that Houston, such and such died this morning. Such and such died the other day. And that was triggering because I recall when my mom was on dialysis and I didn't like that feeling seeing her in the hospital. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to find any excuse to get away from this. So that same mentor that I was incarcerated with, Mousy, he home at the time, we was having a conversation one day and he was like, JoJo, why you just don't become a trainer? He said, people like you, you in shape, you're a natural teacher, and a light bulb went off in my head. And guess what I did? I became a trainer. I also resigned from PG County, and I'm not going well. Like, I honestly got destroyed and ripped apart. Like, a lot of great people there that was like, had a lot of seniority. Management was like, Joe, I don't really think this smart. Are you doing, you get great benefits, you can retire early. But I didn't want to hear it. I had my mind made up. You know what I'm saying? It was just too much I was going through. And I ended up resigning. With that was very hard, leaving a government job to go, I would say, hey, I want to work in different big box gyms and freelance and build my clientele. I went straight in it, and it was hard. But from that, it allowed me and it grew my mind in regards of working with people. I really found love, like, hey, I really like training with clients, helping to build their bodies and empower them. And through that process, I ended up working with different programs on mentorship, working with youth in regards to credible messenger, violent interruption. I was involved in all that. And that just kept deepening my investment in regards of community and advocacy. From that, out of all these different events I kept doing in the community, working with different events, I kept seeing an organization with an apple on it. And I was like, who's this organization with the apple? And one good brother by the name of, I don't know if you hear, but by Jason Wallace, he was like, man, yeah, this is a good organization. They've been around for this many years. They'd be a good connection. I got a good friend named Charlie works there, and I'm gonna connect you with him. So he gave me Charlie's number. I text Charlie. I still remember the text. Hey, my name is Joe. I'm from Ward 8. And this is what I want to do. I would love to meet with you. And Charlie immediately responded back like, hey, Joe, I would love to meet with you. Can we meet in a few days? And that happened. That was one of the best meetings we ever had. Well, me and Charlie, we actually met here at the Commons. This is about 2018. Yep, shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Charlie. We met in the meeting room upstairs, and we sat down. And what I realized that me and Charlie had a lot of things in common. One, he's from Ward 8. Two, he went to Ballou. Let's go Knights. Community. So I told him my game plan, what I visualized, Martha's Table mission being around, health education, childhood, holistic wellness overall. I was like, hey, maybe, we can start doing fitness classes. And he said, I think that's a good idea. We didn't really have the budget for it at the moment, but let's pilot and see how that goes. Let's see how the community reacts to that. So I started to volunteering doing fitness classes for people from the community. And I just kept doing it, and I grew. I kept learning all the staff and meeting everybody, and I just kept growing in regards of organization, knowing who each and everybody was. And eventually, boom, the pandemic came. The world was shattered. We didn't know what was going on. And I got laid off. I was working at Washington Sports Club downtown when it was Gala until they went bankrupt. And you talking about I got bills. Y'all know, we didn't know what was going on. And I recall when Martha's Table, it was no strategy behind it or nothing. They mobilized so quickly. in regards to doing all these groceries, and then they was looking for soldiers, credible community people from the community, and I was one of them. I said, Charlie, Tiffany, whatever you need me to do, I'm willing to go to work. We was going to all these heavily underserved communities. We got the Woodlands, we got the Conatures, Highlands, and we was hitting these communities heavy. And this is when I learned, and I had that spark of belief of being a superhero again, because I seen the impact that they made on a larger scale. And like Tiffany said, hundreds of thousands. We're going in, we having fun. We're going into senior buildings, passing lunches. We're giving food to kids. We're giving COVID kits. I was just super grateful of being a part of that. And this what led me into June 28th at Oxen Run Park, 2020, the birth of WeFit D.C. A movement, a mission that's based around reducing health disparities through physical activity. God, for some reason, blessed me with a vision, was like, hey, Ward 7 and 8 is heavily underserved. Me, a trainer, we know that the government shut down in regards to gyms, physical activity outside. I wanted to do something. So I called great trainers, and I know a few in the room, like Ed and all of them, and I was like, look, I got a vision. I would like to go in different communities in Ward 7 and 8, and I'd like to do free community workouts for the community, get them activated. And I did just as that. And partners like Martha's Table supported me. Tiffany came out there and they supported my first ever event. We had almost 100 people out there on our first event. And from doing that work over and over, event after event, activation after activation, news articles, platforms, magazine. One of my favorite magazines, I got to shout out to Men's Health magazine. I thought they was trying to scam me. They reached out to me and was like, hey, I love to interview you. And I didn't think they was real, but they kept being consistent. And and I used to read this magazine when I was incarcerated, so it was super powerful to have an article in Men's magazine, Health magazine. So my involvement in Martha's Table grew. I got a part of the CAC, Community Advisory Council, where we just came up with just strategic ideas about what the community need and how Martha's Table can actually support. And the Global Passport, like Tiffany spoke about, it was super so good of being a part of the first co-design in regards of bringing this, but the most impactful thing of all is not just all the adults in the room and we're saying what we want the kids to have. We had kids, the youth, like Jalen, like Rob, like Gary, that's in here. We had them come to the table and actually design and say how this program should be and where they want to go. And so I'm just super excited to just shout out to my youth that coming out here. Shout out to you, Rachel, Joanna. Thank y'all. It was just, and I just got to speak on this. We went to Panama, the first international trip in July. I've been so many places around the world. And this was one of the most impactful places I've ever been in my life with these kids. Watching they had big shields on at first, soon when we got off the plane. But to watch them slowly bring it down was so heartwarming. Watching them try out different foods, plantains and things like that. They was trying things, y'all. And it was a beautiful thing to see. It was a beautiful thing to see. And I'm super overwhelmed. And I remember what one of the youth disclosed to me about, we was just talking one time and they was like, and I was like, hey, you could just do this. I see yourself being great. You don't have to go to prison to do what I doing and stuff like that. And he mentioned and said, Coach JoJo, I don't see myself being like that. I don't see myself in that light. And that really was heartwarming because I recall that 16-year-old boy over DC jail feeling that same way. I never seen me in a position of being Mr. WeFit. Never. In closing, I stand here in front of all you guys today on Football Sunday as Mr. WeFit, the founder and CEO of WeFit DC. And our goal is to continue to make impact and work with organizations such as Martha's Table that inspired me to continue to do this work. And I ask you, What are you doing to be super in this room? Are we collaborating with each other? Are we supporting people that have visions and want to make impact? And I know it's a lot of people that's impactors in this room. Let's continue to be super. It's Mr. WeFit. Thank you.